Welcome back to the deep dive. I am your host, and today, we are taking a really hard left turn. Usually, when we sit down at this table, I've got a stack of white papers, or maybe a dense biography of a historical figure, or some massive sociological study on the decline of agrarian societies. We like to keep it heavy. We like to keep it serious.
We really do. We pride ourselves on the density of the material we unpack for you.
Exactly. But today I am holding in my hands a book that is bright pink. It is a paperback. It is maybe 80 pages long if you count the pictures. And the cover features a frantic-looking 5-year-old girl with messy hair literally screaming her head off.
It is certainly a departure from our usual aesthetic. I think the last time we had this much pink in the studio, someone spilled a smoothie.
Right. So we are looking at Junie B. Jones and Her Big Fat Mouth by the late, great Barbara Park. Now, I can hear those of you listening right now. I can hear you hovering over the skip button. You are probably thinking, did I download the wrong show? Is this suddenly a parenting channel?
Which is, a completely fair question.
Yeah, it is a fair question. But before you hit pause, let me just set the stage here. On the surface, yes, this is a children's book. It is funny. The grammar is atrocious in that charming kindergarten way. She uses words like rund and bestest, and it is a very quick read. But, and this is a big but, if you actually peel back the layers, which is exactly what we do here on the deep dive, this text is incredibly deceptive.
Deceptive is the absolute perfect word for it.
This isn't just a story about a kid losing a tooth or going to the zoo. This is a complex case study. It is a study on social pressure. It is a study on the anxiety of defining your career value in a capitalist society. It is about the crushing weight of societal expectations. And ultimately, it is a profound meditation on the definition of success.
I am really glad you framed it that way right out of the gate. Because I think we have this bias as adults. We think that children's literature is simple because the vocabulary is limited. But if you really look at it, and really study the dynamics in a book like this, it often distills complex adult problems into their rawest, most terrifying forms.
Can you explain that a bit more? What do you mean by rawest forms?
Well, think about how we handle stress as adults. We rationalize, right? We intellectualize things. We wrap our anxieties in corporate jargon. We say, oh, I am just pivoting my career trajectory, or I am experiencing some imposter syndrome this quarter. We have all these words to buffer the pain. A 5-year-old, they do not have the jargon yet. They do not have the buffer. So when they feel career anxiety, it is visceral. It is a stomach ache. It is pure, unadulterated fear. It is the feeling of wanting to hide under the bed.
That is so true. It is just pure emotion without the filter of professionalism.
Yeah, exactly. And the central tension of this book, Junie B. Jones and Her Big Fat Mouth, is one that I think every single person listening can relate to, whether you are a Fortune 500 CEO or a freelancer or an intern just starting out. It is that dreaded question, the question that haunts cocktail parties and family reunions alike. What do you want to be?
Oh, I hate that question. Even now, I hate it.
We all do. And this book captures the sheer panic that sets in when you realize your answer does not match what the world expects from you. It captures the moment you realize you might be doing life wrong compared to your peers.
It is what we might call the big fat mouth syndrome. The tendency to overpromise because you feel completely inadequate in the moment, and then the terrifying reality of having to deliver on that massive promise.
Which is basically the history of every failed startup in Silicon Valley, if you really think about it.
That is hilarious and so accurate. We have the technology, do you? No, but we will by Tuesday. That is exactly what happens in this book. So our mission today is to analyze the journey of the protagonist, Junie B. Jones. We are going to track her from a moment of panicked lying to a genuine, profound epiphany about the value of labor.
And along the way, we really need to look at the classroom dynamics of Room 9. Because Room 9 is not just a classroom, it is a microcosm of society. It is a brutal ecosystem.
It really is. It is Lord of the Flies with snack time. So let's introduce our lead, Junie B. Jones. The B stands for Beatrice.
But she absolutely hates Beatrice. She just likes B, and that is all.
Right. She is very specific about her branding. She is in kindergarten. And right from page 1, the stakes are set. The teacher, who is known only as Mrs.
Which creates this really interesting distance, right? She is the authority. She is Mrs. She isn't a person with a first name or a life outside the school. She is the institution itself.
That is a great point. So the institution, Mrs., announces job day.
Now just pause here. Job day for a 5-year-old. Just think about the immense pressure of that concept.
Yeah.
It is not draw a picture day. It is not play with blocks day. It is define your economic identity day.
That is such a heavy burden for someone who literally cannot tie their shoes yet.
It is. Mrs. explains that a career is a job, and Junie B immediately spirals. Listen to this internal monologue. She says, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And so that means I can't come to school on Monday,
Yeah.
and now I'll probably flunk kindergarten.
That escalation is so real. I feel like I do that every Sunday night. Going from I don't have an answer to I'm going to fail at life in 3 seconds flat.
It is classic catastrophizing. But it speaks to how much pressure is placed on these performative moments in school. She doesn't just think, oh, I'll figure it out eventually. She thinks I will be rejected by the system. Flunking kindergarten is social death. And this brings us to the environment she is in. Room 9 is not a safe space. It is a competitive marketplace.
Let's unpack the social hierarchy here. Because Junie B is not operating in a vacuum. She has rivals. She has people actively rooting for her downfall.
She has distinct antagonists. First, you have Jim.
Ugh, Jim. The mean boy.
He is the critic. He is the voice of insecurity. When Junie B says she might flunk, what does Jim do? Does he offer support? No. He shouts hooray.
Hooray. He literally celebrates her failure.
He is the external manifestation of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is that internal voice that says, you don't belong here, you are a fraud. Jim is the external flesh and blood version of that. He's the guy in the meeting who points out the typo in your presentation just to see you squirm.
He is the reply guy on social media.
Yes, exactly. He is the original reply guy. Actually, Junie B.
Yeah.
He actively roots for her failure because it elevates his own status. If she flunks, he wins. It is a zero-sum game in Jim's mind.
And then you have a much more insidious antagonist. You have Lucille.
Ah, Lucille. We need to spend some real time on Lucille.
Lucille is introduced as Junie B's bestest friend, but looking closely at the text, this is a shockingly toxic relationship. Lucille represents the perfect standard that Junie B simply cannot reach.
Lucille is fascinating because she represents old money values in a kindergarten setting, or at least the aspiration of old money. She is constantly referencing her Nana.
The invisible enforcer.
Exactly. Nana is the source of the law. Lucille says it is class warfare. Plain and simple. Lucille is refined. Junie B is chaotic. Lucille is rich. Junie B is regular. Lucille weaponizes etiquette. She frames Junie B's lack of refinement as something that makes her lesser. It is the corporate middle manager who cares way more about the font size than the actual content of the report.
And Junie B pushes back. She is a fighter. She threatens to knock her on her can, which, while violent, and obviously we don't condone violence in the workplace.
It is a complete rejection of that imposed standard. She is saying, I will not be polished. I will be me.
And here is where the system kicks in. Who gets in trouble?
Junie B gets in trouble.
Right.
Because Lucille's aggression is passive and polite. It fits the rules of the institution. Junie B's aggression is active and loud. So Junie B gets the punishment.
I love how she describes punishment with a capital P. It is not just a timeout. It is a state of being.
Listen to the text here because this is really poignant. Punishment is the school word for sitting at a big table all by yourself, and everybody keeps on staring at you.
And it makes you feel like PU.
PU. Makes you feel like you stink. It takes the friendly right out of you. That line always gets me. Punishment isn't rehabilitation here. It is social isolation. It is shunning. For a social creature like a 5-year-old or a human being of any age, really being separated from the herd is the ultimate threat. It triggers a primal fear.
So this sets the emotional stakes for the rest of the book. Junie B is impulsive. She shoots off her big fat mouth, and the result is isolation. She is terrified of being separated again. She desperately wants to belong.
Which leads us directly to the inciting incident, the lifesaver moment.
Okay, so she has been punished. She is angry. She goes out to recess, refuses to talk to Lucille or Grace, who is her usual crew, and she is sitting in the grass all alone, sulking. And what does she find?
2 cherry lifesavers.
Gold. Absolute gold in the currency of childhood.
But they are on the ground.
Details. In Junie B's mind, the physics of germs are highly flexible.
Very flexible. She picks one up, she blows on it. Because according to kindergarten law, the breath acts as a sterilization agent.
I blowed off the germs. That is her ironclad defense.
And she pops it in her mouth. And this is the first major interaction with a character who will become the emotional anchor of the entire book, the janitor.
He comes rushing in. The text says he is speedy quick and his keys are jangling all over the place. He yells, "Spit that out!"
Now look at the conflict and logic here. Junie B operates on waste, not combined with if it tastes good, eat it. The janitor operates on adult safety logic, which says ground candy is toxic waste.
But the interaction shifts very quickly from a reprimand to something else, and I think this is a pivotal moment in the narrative.
It is the most important scene in the first act.
Yeah.
Junie B spits it out because she is scared. She thinks she's in trouble again. But then the janitor bends down, he gets on her level, he explains why you cannot blow germs off, but then he sees she is genuinely upset.
She is pouting. She admits she shot off her big fat mouth and hates her friends. She is incredibly vulnerable.
And he says something very simple but profound. He says life is hard sometimes, isn't it, sis?
Sis. He calls her sis.
I really want to pause on that word. Sis. It is not student. It is not young lady. It is not little girl.
It is colloquial. It is deeply familiar.
It is a term of equality. It is a term of solidarity. He is not talking down to her like Mrs. does or judging her like Lucille does. He is acknowledging a shared human struggle. He is saying, I see you. I see that you are having a really bad day, and I validate that bad days exist.
And Junie B's reaction is immediate. She says, life is PU, and then I just like janitor. And that's all.
This moment lays the groundwork for everything that follows. In a world where she is constantly judged by the teacher, by Jim, by Lucille Bertuses, the janitor offers her basic humanity. He treats her with courtesy, even when she's at her absolute lowest, sitting in the dirt, eating garbage.
When you put it that way, it really is a rock bottom moment.
It is, but he lifts her up out of it.
So we have this bond established, but the job day clock is still ticking loudly in the background. She still has to figure out who she is. And now we move into part 2, the preparation. The teacher brings in guest speakers to get the kids excited.
The perception versus reality segment.
Right. We have Officer Mike and Dr. Smiley, the dentist. Now, typically in any other book, these would be the heroes. Cop and doctor, high status, every kid wants to be them.
Exactly. These are the crown professions. They are flashy. But Junie B, being the iconoclast that she is, deconstructs them immediately through her own observational lens. Take Officer Mike.
Officer Mike comes in with the shiny uniform. But Junie B has a fundamental misunderstanding of the job description. She thinks police officers rest people.
Rust them. Like force them to take a nap.
Which honestly sounds like a fantastic public service. I would love for an officer to come by and say, you look stressed, I'm going to need you to rest for 20 minutes.
Mandatory nap time, enforced by the state.
Yeah.
I would vote for that in a heartbeat. But it is a charming linguistic error.
Right.
However, Jim, again, the antagonist, brutally corrects her. He yells, they didn't arrest him stupid, they arrested him. That means they took him to jail. And so your neighbor's a dirty, rotten jailbird.
Wow. Jim just goes straight for the jugular.
He really does. He introduces the social stigma of incarceration into a kindergarten classroom. He shames her for her neighbor's situation. But look at Junie B's experience with the uniform itself. Officer Mike lets her try on the helmet.
And it does not fit.
Who turned out the lights, it covers her eyes, she cannot see a thing.
Are we reading too much into a helmet there? Is that symbolism?
No, I think it is totally valid symbolism. The cop identity literally blinds her. It doesn't fit her. It is too big. It is unwieldy. It is not made for her. She tries on the authority and she completely disappears inside it.
And then we have Dr. Smiley, the dentist. She comes in with a giant red toothbrush and talks about Mr. Tooth Decay.
The classic prop comedy of pediatric dentistry.
But Junie B is deeply skeptical. She points out the visceral reality of dentistry. She said she doesn't like the part where you spit blood, and she mentions that morning breath smells like stink.
She cuts right through the hygiene propaganda to the unpleasant sensory details. She's a realist. She knows that dentistry involves pain and bad smells. But the real turning point here is the floss incident.
Oh, yes. This is a critical plot point. We have to treat this like the disaster movie scene it is.
Okay, set the scene for us.
Dr. Smiley passes out minty green floss. She tells everyone to practice. Now, there's a student named William. We will talk about William more later, but he is a very anxious child. He is shy.
And William gets very confused.
He winds the floss, and he winds it. And he keeps winding it. He winds it way too tight. He gets it tangled in a massive knot around his teeth and somehow his actual head.
Just a total nightmare scenario. He
What?
is trussed up like a turkey.
He is trapped in the hygiene product. He starts to panic. Now, Dr. Smiley is the expert here. She is the doctor. She has the degree. She has the giant toothbrush. But the text clearly says Dr. Smiley couldn't undo him.
The expert fails.
Yeah.
The person with the status cannot solve the practical problem right in front of her.
Exactly. Panic is setting in. William is likely crying. The whole class is watching. And who does the teacher call? Does she call the principal? Does she call 911?
She calls the janitor.
The janitor arrives speedy quick. And note the equipment. He brings a giant flashlight.
The tool.
He shines the light, he assesses the situation, he calms the room down, and he helps Dr. Smiley get the dangerous floss out.
This is such a subtle but incredibly important data point for Junie B, isn't it?
It is crucial. We have two high-status jobs presented, cop and dentist. They were flashy, they had props, they had authority. But when a crisis actually occurred, when a child was trapped and suffering, it was the janitor who had the tool, the flashlight, and the competence to solve the problem. He is the hero figure in practice, even if the school hierarchy places him at the very bottom.
I wonder if she consciously registers that in the moment or if it just sort of files away in her subconscious.
I think it is subconscious at this stage. She doesn't have the language for competence hierarchy yet. She just sees him as the fixer. He fixed the germ candy situation, and now he fixed the floss situation. He restores order. He makes the scary things go away.
So the janitor saves the day. But Junie B still does not have a job for Job Day, and the pressure cooker is about to explode. We move to part 3, the school bus.
The bus. The bus is a lawless wasteland in children's literature. It is the liminal space between worlds. The teacher isn't there, parents aren't there. It is Lord of the Flies in a moving vehicle.
And the peer pressure is intensifying rapidly. Everyone is announcing their ambitions. And they are ambitious. They are swinging for the absolute fences.
They are reaching for the stars. Let's look at the list because it is a fascinating cross-section of American dreams. You have Grace.
Grace wants to be Mickey Mouse.
Not an actor playing Mickey Mouse. She wants to be the mouse.
Which leads to a truly devastating realization.
It does. Another kid reveals that Mickey is just a suit with a guy inside, and Grace is shattered. Junie B says she feels sickish and depressed hearing that. It is the shattering of childhood wonder, the realization that the magic is actually just a job.
Then you have Charlotte. Charlotte wants to be a famous painter. Why?
Because artists are very rich.
Oh, Charlotte. If only you knew.
It is a hilarious misconception about the art world, but for a 5-year-old it sounds great. She equates fame with money. She is chasing the bag.
And Roger. Roger wants to be a prison guard.
This one is interesting. Why does he want to be a prison guard? Because his uncle has the keys to the whole prison.
Keys. It is about access. It is about power.
Keys are a huge symbol of authority. If you have the keys, you control the doors. You decide who moves and who stays. Roger wants power.
And William, our friend with the floss incident.
William wants to be a superhero. He wants to save people, which makes total sense because William is always in distress. He wants to flip the script and be the savior instead of the victim.
So look at the ingredients Junie B is absorbing here. She sees value in all these separate elements. She likes painting. She's good at it. She likes keys. She unlocked her front door once and felt powerful. She likes the idea of saving people. That is noble.
But she doesn't have one job that does all that. She is a polymath in a world that absolutely demands specialization.
And Jim knows it. Jim attacks. He smells blood in the water. He calls her a copycat. He says, you can't be 3 jobs. You can only be 1.
This is the moment. The pressure is just too much. She snaps.
She snaps. She cannot accept the inadequacy. She cannot let Jim win. So she improvises. She yells, I'm just being 1 job. It's a special kind of job where you paint and you unlock stuff and you save people.
And Jim calls the bluff. What's the name of it?
And the bus goes completely silent.
This is the big fat mouth moment, the tail drop.
She has committed to a reality that, as far as she knows, does not exist. She has trapped herself.
The description here is so palpable. Her face gets reddish and hottish. The bus is quiet. Jim is chanting, told Ja, told Ja. It is deeply humiliating.
It is the feeling of being exposed as a fraud.
Yeah.
She tried to compete in the status game, and she lost. She tried to fake it till you make it, but she got called out before she could make it.
So she goes home defeated. She runs to her mother screaming for help. I accidentally shut off my big fat mouth. But the home environment isn't a sanctuary either.
No, it is chaotic. And this introduces the domestic subplot, which mirrors the school plot perfectly. We have to talk about the baby.
Ollie.
Dud Ollie. She resents him so much. She views him as a dud. Why? Because he has absolutely no utility.
He cannot roll over. He cannot play Chinese checkers.
In her eyes, he's a drain on resources. He screams, he smells, he takes the parents' attention. He contributes nothing to the economy of the household.
There is a line where she says she wants to take him back to the hospital, but mother said no, which you know is reasonable on the mother's part.
Reasonable, yes.
Yeah.
But it highlights Junie B's frustration. She has a crisis, a major career crisis, because her support system is overwhelmed. Mother has a my brain headache. That is such a great phrase. My brain headache.
I feel that. I have my brain headache right now just thinking about it.
Daddy comes home and Junie B thinks, okay, Daddy will help. But Daddy is immediately diverted to help with the screaming baby. Junie B is left alone with her tension.
She says, I'm getting tension in me.
We all do. But this isolation is functionally necessary for the plot, because she has to solve this herself. The management, her parents are busy putting out fires. The consultant, Junie B, has to step up. And she does it during the search for the pacifier.
This is the aha moment, the great detective story of part 4.
Set the scene for us.
The house is in complete turmoil. Ollie is screaming his head off because his pacifier is lost. Mother is losing her grip. Daddy is searching blindly. It is chaos.
And Junie B steps up. She utilizes the skills she has observed. She remembers the janitor. She remembers the tools.
She goes to the kitchen drawer. She gets the flashlight.
Flashlights are fun to shine in the dark. She goes to the dark places. She checks under the couch. She checks down the basement steps. She is methodical. She is conducting a targeted search and rescue operation.
And then she goes to the nursery. She tries to entertain Ollie with the light shining it on the monkeys on the wallpaper, but he just keeps screaming. And then the beam hits something.
Under the rocking chair. The pacifier.
She grabs it. She runs to Mother. Mother is relieved. She goes to put it in Ollie's mouth. But then, and this is the key connection, Mother blows on it.
And Junie B corrects her. She stops the authority figure. She repeats the janitor's lesson, almost verbatim. You can't blow germs off. Stuff that's been on the ground is very dangerous.
She takes command. She takes the pacifier to the sink. She washes it with soap and water. She cleans it just like the janitor paints the litter cans. She hands it to Ollie.
And the crying stops.
Silence. Total peace.
Now, I want to slow down here and look at the synthesis of information that happens in her brain. It is a moment of pure brilliance. Point 1, she used a tool, the flashlight.
Right. Point 2, she unlocked a problem, found the lost item.
Point 3, she cleaned, she washed the pacifier.
And point 4, she saved the day, saved the family from the noise.
And the gears turn. Click, click, click. She realizes, wait a minute. The job I lied about on the bus, painting, unlocking, saving, cleaning, it actually exists.
It is the janitor's job. The janitor paints the cans. The janitor unlocks the doors. The janitor saves the kids from germs and floss. The lie wasn't a lie. It was a prophecy. She just didn't know the name of the job yet.
She runs to tell her parents. She is celebrating. She says it's the bestest job you ever heard of. She is vibrating with excitement.
And their reaction is really telling.
Daddy looks confused. Mother says, oh boy.
Oh boy. They know. They know the social stigma she is about to walk right into. They know that in the hierarchy of jobs, janitor is not considered high status. It isn't Officer Mike. It isn't Dr. Smiley. It certainly isn't Princess or President.
But Junie B does not care. She is completely oblivious to the class implications. She is focused purely on the utility and the coolness of the actions. She wants to use the flashlight. She wants to hold the keys.
That is the purity of her choice. It is meritocratic. She chooses the job that she saw actually working in the real world.
Which brings us to Monday morning, part 5, job day, the moment of truth.
The tingling. She says she has tingling excitement. She is ready.
Let's talk about the outfit. Because in a sea of costumes, Junie B keeps it incredibly real.
Brown pants, dangling keys clipped to her belt loop, a paintbrush. It is practical. It is functional. It is workwear before workwear was trendy.
Compare that to the competition. We get to the bus stop and we see Grace.
Grace has pivoted. She realized Mickey was a guy in a suit, so she shifted. Now she is Minnie Mouse.
Polka dots.
She is still buying into the fantasy, just a slightly different version of it. She wants to be the icon.
And William.
Poor William. He is Superman, but he has a W on his chest instead of an S.
For William.
It is adorable, but it is also a bit sad. He wants to be a hero, but he centers it entirely on himself. I am Super William. And the bus driver asks the killer question, can you fly?
And William jumps and lands right on the pavement. He does not fly.
Another harsh reality check. Gravity remains undefeated.
And then we had Jim, the Kung Fu karate guy.
Which looks suspiciously like a bathrobe?
Junie B calls him out on it immediately. It's not a bathrobe, dummy. Narrator voice. It was absolutely a bathrobe.
But the real contrast, the real meaningful contrast comes when they get to class and the presentations begin. Specifically, Lucille.
Lucille's entrance is a lot.
It is the absolute epitome of status signaling. We need to define that term. Status signaling is when you use goods or behavior to display your social rank. Lucille is wearing a pink velvet dress, shiny shoes, lace socks, and a jeweled crown.
And her career aspiration.
To marry a prince.
My Nana says, if you marry a prince, you're set for life.
It is a purely transactional view of the future. Success equals wealth and status acquired through marriage. Lucille isn't planning to do anything. She is planning to be acquired.
And this is the part that always blows my mind. She lists the prices. This kid starts reading the receipts.
It is fascinating sociology. She explicitly tells the class the dress cost $85, the shoes cost $45, the socks were $6.50 plus tax.
Why does she do that? She has 5.
She is quantifying her worth. She is saying, I am valuable because these items are expensive. She has learned from Nana that value is a literal number on a tag. She is putting a price tag on her own presentation.
And the class is impressed. They say, ooh.
Of course they are. They are buying into the system. Shiny things are good. Expensive things are better.
And then we have other high-aiming kids. There's a future boss who teaches the class how to say you're fired.
Yikes. Early training for corporate downsizing.
And Jamal, who's going to be president of the United States.
Talk about a tough act to follow. I'm the president. Cool. I'm Junie B.
But she is confident. She thinks her job is better than the president. She runs to the front. She shouts, I'm going to be a janitor.
And she jingles her keys. She waves her paintbrush. She waits for the thunderous applause.
And there is total silence.
And then laughter.
The text says it was the mean kind of laughter. Not the funny ha-ha laughter. The ridicule. They call her stupid. They point at her brown pants.
This is the moment where the social reality crashes down on her. She says she felt crumbling inside. Her nose starts running. She covers her face, and she says that line, they're not having courtesy for me.
That breaks my heart every single time. Courtesy. It is all she wants. The exact same courtesy the janitor showed her in the grass. She thought if she showed them the utility of the job, they would respect it. But they are judging the status, not the utility. They see janitor and they see low class.
But she doesn't stay crumbled for long. Mrs. intervenes, scolding the class, validating that janitors are hardworking and trustworthy. But Junie B needs to win this argument herself. She cannot hide behind the teacher.
She does. And she does it by debating Jim. Jim throws out the challenge. Janitors don't save people.
And Junie B brings the receipts. She enters the debate stage.
She cites her evidence. She uses the scientific method. Exhibit A. The janitor stopped her from eating the dangerous lifesaver. Yeah. He saved her gut. Exhibit B. The janitor saved William from the dangerous dental floss. He saved William's head. Exhibit C. The keys. He unlocks the bathroom.
If he didn't unlock the bathroom, we would have to hold it forever and we would explode.
That is a very compelling argument for a kindergartner. The bathroom is life or death.
It is fundamental utility. She's arguing that function is more important than fantasy. Lucille looks pretty, but the janitor lets you pee. Who is more important in a crisis?
It is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The janitor covers the absolute base of the pyramid. Lucille is just the decoration at the very top.
But Jim has one more card to play. The gender card.
Janitors have to be boys.
Oh, Jim. Wrong side of history, buddy.
Junie B is not having it. She explodes. Girls can be anything boys can be. And she cites her cultural authorities. She appeals to precedent.
Sesame Street and Oprah.
You really cannot argue with Oprah.
You really can't, especially in the 90s. If Oprah said it, it was law.
And this is the turning point. Logic combined with the undeniable authority of Oprah slays the room. Grace starts clapping. Then the other girls start clapping.
It becomes a feminist victory.
It does. She rallies the room, not by changing her outfit, not by buying a crown, but by defending the dignity and utility of the work itself. She wins the argument on the merits.
Which leads us to the resolution. Part 6. The man himself arrives.
Gus Floney.
It is show and tell. The janitor visits the class, and this scene is the victory lap.
It is the validation of everything Junie B argued. He brings the toolbox, they play Name the Tools.
And Junie B knows them. The saw the hammer. She is the star pupil now.
But notice how the other kids get involved. This is the key shift. Grace pushes the broom. Lucille, Princess Lucille, with the $85 dress, is cleaning the chalkboard with a sponge.
The manual labor is suddenly desirable because it is real, it is tangible, it is fun.
And there's a great little conflict where Junie B fights Jim for the mop.
She straight up pinches him.
The mop gets removed. But it shows that even Jim, the harshest critic, wants to be part of this utility now. He wants the mop.
And then the janitor sits down and humanizes himself.
This is so important. He isn't just janitor or the fixer anymore. He tells them he was born in a different country. He's been doing this for 14 years. And he tells them his name, Gus Floney.
And Junie B, true to form, shouts that she loves villainy because it is her favorite sandwich.
Confusing it with Bologna, it is a perfect Junie B malapropism. But it bridges the gap. She claims him as a friend.
Me and janitor are bestest friends. And he winks at her.
The wink. It is a conspiracy of two. They know the secret. They know that they're the ones who clean up the messes. They're the ones with the keys.
And even when Lily teases her, Junie B's got a boyfriend, it doesn't sting like the earlier laughter.
No, the text says the laughter is general. It is shared. It is not malicious anymore. The tension is gone. The tribe has accepted her choice.
And the book ends with the sound of the keys. His jingly keys jangled all the way out the door.
The symbol of his power. He is off to unlock the next door. He is off to do the actual work.
So let's bring this all together. We have gone from the depths of despair in the grass to a triumph in the classroom. What is the deep dive takeaway here for you? When we close this pink book, what should we be thinking about?
I think there are two massive takeaways. First, it is about the invisible labor. The janitor is usually invisible. He is background noise. But in this story, he's the only one who actually fixes anything. The dentist couldn't fix the floss. The teacher couldn't stop the crying. The parents couldn't find the pacifier. The laborer did. Junie B saw that competence and said, I want that. It challenges us to value the people who keep the lights on and the doors open. It challenges us to look past the crowns, the status, the titles, the expensive suits, and look for the flashlights, the tools that actually solve problems.
I love that. The flashlight versus the crown.
And the second takeaway, it is about the title, her big fat mouth. Throughout the book, her mouth gets her in trouble. She talks too much. She lies. She shouts. She's too loud for Lucille's polite society. But in the end, her mouth is what saves her. She has to speak up to defend her choice. She has to articulate why a janitor is important. She has to cite Oprah. Her voice, which was her biggest liability, becomes her greatest asset when she uses it to speak truth to power, or in this case, truth to Jim.
That is profound. It really challenges us to look at our own job days. We have performance reviews, we have our professional profiles where we try to look like Lucille, shiny and perfect.
We polish our crowns, we list our prices and our achievements.
We do. But the question this book asks is, are we chasing that sparkly crown, or are we willing to pick up the flashlight and the keys? Are we willing to do the work that actually solves the problems in the dark? Because there are always going to be problems in the dark.
Because when the floss gets stuck or the pacifier is lost, the crown isn't going to help you at all. You need the flashlight.
You absolutely need the flashlight. And sometimes you need a 5-year-old to remind you of that. Well, that gives you a lot to mull over before your next performance review. That is it for this deep dive into Junie B. Jones and her big fat mouth. Who knew kindergarten politics were so cutthroat?
I will definitely never look at a janitor's keys the exact same way again.
Same here. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Go think a janitor today. We will see you next time.